You're listening to DraftKings Network.
It's done.
Connor McDavid! It's not real!
The goal of the year,
Panarin!
part of the past. The celebrations, forgotten. The history,
Vegas Golden Knights!
history. We're back to a blank slate. Clean ice. All that matters now is what happens next. The Stanley Cup playoffs.
Eastern Conference Final begins Wednesday.
Everyone is talking about magnesium. It's all you hear about. But why? What do we know about magnesium? Well, magnesium is the number one mineral that 75% of Americans are deficient in. If you are a woman over 35, magnesium will help you rediscover balance, energy, and vitality. Magnesium supports more than 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those involved in hormonal balance. From functional medicine doctors to mental well-being and female hormone experts, we all know that magnesium is the one mineral to improve all aspects of well-being and health. But which one? Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, the trusted choice recommended by leading experts with 7 best-absorbed forms of magnesium to ensure your body receives the support it needs for overall well-being. Go to bioptimizers.com/balance today and use code BALANCE10 for 10% off. Support your journey to wellness at bioptimizers.com/balance. Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, your foundation to optimal health and vitality.
Chris, Stugotz just walked into the room, but I was in here alone with your father moments ago, who was busy on the internet, but not really talking to me. He was both talking to himself and his computer. But he was talking out loud. And what he said was, woman swallowed whole by shark when swimming with friends.
Yeah.
Now, he's still talking to himself here.
Deserving of a
Of course,
Yes.
yes. He's got my interest, and it is something that I, too, might speak out loud talking to no one if I was reading it because it's shocking. But then the next thing he says while having a conversation with himself or his computer is, looks like my neighbor, Shelly. Shelly Quibner.
Was it Shelly?
We hope not. I'm going to check with her.
This is what he was saying. I
need to see this because I know what she looks like.
I saw the dawning realization in Greg Cote that he may have been asking or discovering whether his neighbor had been swallowed whole by a shark.
Well, if Shelly was swallowed whole, she may answer from inside the shark.
It could be. I'm going to ask McGill later if someone could survive that.
How about ask your neighbor if they're alive? I mean,
I could do. I'll wait.
Yeah.
I think the odds are she's alive.
Probably.
Okay.
It's been done with whales, but
Yeah, you can live in the belly of a whale.
We've had this conversation with McGill before. No, you would immediately die. There would be no living inside of a whale.
No, I think there will be.
Beg to differ.
Yeah.
Okay, well, but McGill's the expert. You can beg all you want about
he's a
differing.
photographer.
You live to beg to differ. You sometimes don't even beg. You don't ask.
Oh, no, I just
you
differ.
Just differ.
I go straight to the differ.
You go straight you don't beg to differ. You differ, and you do it without apology.
It's more polite to say you beg to differ than to just differ immediately.
Yeah, when you say you beg to differ, though, you're not begging.
No.
Nobody's begging.
No.
Yeah, and by the way, Geppetto, Pinocchio's dad, lived in a whale. But here's the weirdest thing about this story. I'm going to read the whole sentence. A woman who was out swimming with her friends is believed to have been swallowed whole by a 13-foot shark without any of her friends noticing. That's the weirdest part about that story. You're swimming with friends, you're having a good time, and then all of a sudden people are looking around going, where's Shelly? Like, nobody screamed?
Every friend group has a Shelly, though, that if they go missing because a shark ate them whole, you wouldn't notice.
Classic Shelly.
Exactly right.
Yeah. She went quietly, apparently. If I'm swallowed whole by a shark, you're going to know it.
How?
I'm going to scream my bloody...
I think it happens very quickly, Greg. I have no expertise in this realm, but I'm thinking that perhaps it happens faster than you can scream.
You yell that kind of thing or something?
Hey, get away from me.
Baby.
It would be his last words, absolutely. That kind of thing. How fast do you think you are that you could, because for this to have happened quietly.
Right.
Is fairly amazing. For it to happen so quietly and disturbing the sea so little, that your friend gets consumed by a shark without any of the other friends noticing.
Right.
I think Greg might be right that that's the most shocking part of this story, that could happen quietly without a sound, and that everybody would swim back to the boat or shore and they wouldn't get to land and then be like, hey, where's Shelly?
Right. I feel I would kick the shark in the snout and send it on its way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna
That would work.
I'm not gonna go down easily. Same with a gator. I feel like
Eye poke.
Yeah, an eye poke, a kick in the snout. Supposedly you can punch. This is another good question from McGill. Supposedly you can punch a shark right in the nose, and he's so unaccustomed to being punched that he'll turn around.
No, I think I've read that is the way, if you ever find yourself, to like kind of attack them in those vulnerable areas. But I think it's easier said than done. I don't think it's just like a little tap on the nose and they scurry away.
It's hard to punch underwater.
It is.
Kicking is easier.
Yeah, it's like slow motion.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's why people exercise in the pool. You know, because as fast as you walk, you're walking in slow motion.
That's not why they exercise in the pool.
Sure it is.
Imagine the damage you could do to a shark on land if you punch and you got your full force into the nose. If they have that glass jaw, that if you basically just barely tap it on the nose and they scurry. Imagine a boom, full force punch on land.
Exactly.
Yeah. Real tough guy in water. You know?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Home court advantage.
I'm scared of the sea for that reason. I don't like going on any animal turf that represents me not having the home court advantage on the food chain. I like to be the dominant dynasty favorite.
What's your home court, Dan? What animal would you fight and where?
What's my home court? Land is my home court.
Oh,
not against a gator.
All right, thank you for differing. Go back to begging.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Today's episode is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
We will talk about Caitlin Clark in a second, Stugotz, because it seems to me a whole lot of people are enjoying watching the struggle, and because the seasons go into each other so quickly, it feels like Caitlin Clark didn't get to enjoy that very long before it became a thing that now has an uncommon amount of weight on it because she's joined a bad team and she's playing against good teams, and it's hard. But before we get to that, I just want to ask you something, because I have just can't help but notice how much the media industry is shaking. Like, just that things are battering the media industry and the sports media industry. And so every morning I get up, and when I'm checking X, I'm getting what looks like artificial intelligence. Like the first paragraph I see when I'm scanning through things, it looks like AI has just collected, hey, here's what sports fans were talking about last night. I don't think this was written by a human being. I think this is written by a computer. But I want to ask you about what it says. Fans slam ESPN's NHL playoff coverage. On May 21st, 2024, social media users expressed dissatisfaction with ESPN's NHL playoff coverage, criticizing issues such as audio-video synchronization problems, poor camera angles, and a perceived lack of focus on the game itself. Many users compared ESPN's coverage unfavorably to TNT's, which was praised for its superior quality. The criticism also extended to ESPN's broader approach to sports broadcasting, suggesting a focus on its own brand over the games. Users called for ESPN to improve its coverage or for the NHL to reconsider its broadcasting partnership with the network. Again, have no idea and don't have no idea if it was written by a human being, and don't think that it was. But the thing that I wanted to ask you and Greg Cote today, as we're coming off of Stephen A. Smith and the New York Knicks dominating the Game 7 coverage in a way that was New York-centric and made people upset, Stugotz. Whether you care about it or not, it bothered people to watch a network get rid of anything that would even resemble the illusion of objectivity and just start rah-rahing for the Knicks. And we're entering a new broadcast time, Stugotz, where ESPN doesn't just get to be the dominant thing without competition. The competition is a bunch of individual brands, and ESPN has to evolve into the modern age of how to cover stuff. And they tend to go brand. And they tend to go and reward right now. They've always avoided this. Personalities. And so it stops being about the game and it starts being about Stephen A. Smith talking on the entire network about whether he would score a basket against LeBron James if they were playing to 100 points and Stephen A. Smith was up 99-0. They cover it across the network and then people get mad because there are other places they could go to get something that feels more nutritious than that. So what do you two make of this? Because I know Greg Cote has a legitimate problem, Stugotz, with the amount of information that he's getting. He doesn't want more information. He wants glossy coverage of sports. What is it that you're objecting to in baseball? What is the statistic that you don't like or the tracking that you don't like now?
Yeah, it's like something, StatCast bat index.
Like how hard the ball comes off the bat and stuff like that.
I just don't need to know that.
It, right?
If it's a line drive in the gap, I know it was hit pretty hard.
Right.
I don't need to know exactly how many miles per hour it is.
Less is more.
Less is more.
Yes.
Here's a launch angle, line drive, fly ball, home run.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Ground ball.
Ground
bunt.
ball, bunt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are the angles.
Not that anybody bunts anymore. I think when you bunt, I think when you reach base on a bunt, you should get to take third.
Really?
Yeah, that's how rare
Two
bunts
extra
are.
bases.
Yeah,
I like
think
that.
so.
What if you advance a runner to second? Do you skip them?
I hadn't thought that far ahead. I gotta
think
brainstorm.
about it.
I gotta workshop that one.
Yeah.
So what my Tuesdays tend to be like is intellect, less is more. Information, less is more. Put it on the poll, JuJu, at Batard Show. When it comes to information and intellect, is less more? Because what Greg Cote and Stugotz are advocating for is we get to dominate the media knowing nothing. We don't want to learn anything else. We have enough. We're at capacity. What we know is the most that there is to know, and we do not need any more information to do our jobs poorly.
Correct.
Why amass so much knowledge? You can't take it with you when you're gone.
That's correct. You got to be selective. You know, the human brain can only store so much.
That's right.
And I challenged Batard to tell me what is the value in knowing how fast the ball has left the bat.
You know how hard people are hitting a baseball, and it takes some of the randomness out of whether you're getting a bloop. If you hit the ball well, the result doesn't necessarily matter. If you hit it 110 miles an hour and it just happens to catch the third baseman's glove, you're out, but it doesn't mean that you had a poor at bat.
What if we just measured it in Greg's measurements of pretty hard, not that hard, really hard? I think that might be helpful instead of numbers.
Yes.
What about placement? How about that?
Yeah.
Like, take a little off the swing speed and place it in a place that it's not going to get caught. How's that sound?
Okay, excellent. Yes, you should play baseball with a spatula because you're so good at it. You can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball into left field, just drop it in there because you're so good at sports.
The way Tony Gwynn did it, the way Wade Boggs used to do it. That's all I'm saying. I can't do it, but they could.
Hitters used to be craftsmen.
Yeah, that's
They used
right.
to craft the ball.
Yes.
Just swing as hard as you can now and hope to make contact.
Exactly. And the problem is, Batard over here, he would rather hit a 100-mile-an-hour line out than a beautiful Texas leaguer that's soft, drops softly over the
Seeing
second
eye
baseman.
single.
Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Dan, think about it, because you get rewarded.
You don't want to think about it.
Well, I want
That's
you to
what
think
this
about
whole-
it. I don't
Yeah,
want to
but
think
you
about it.
don't want to think about
No,
it.
you just
I
think
want
about
you to
it
think about
now,
it,
and then the
right.
thinking's done during the game.
but-
Imagine the pace of baseball, how quickly it would be if we weren't clicking our calculators the whole time trying to figure everything out.
Right.
Your team has been mismanaged for years by the others who are doing all of this stuff better than
Hottest team of baseball
your
right now.
team. Well, I want to ask you something because I brought you a couple of gifts here that I want to ask.
So
you about.
nice.
Yes.
Bearing
Not
gifts.
even my birthday.
You are a collector. You are
wrapped it, too.
You are a hoarder, and you are somebody who I was wondering whether you would want some of the things that I have here.
I'm a curator.
So, what do you imagine that this is worth right here? I've got a Florida Marlins inaugural season, and I was there for the last homestand, Marlins versus the Mets, and it's an engraved cent. Not a smell.
Cent?
Not a smell. It's a penny.
Oh, like that you used to put in like
Oh,
those
a pen.
machines?
Coin.
I love those machines.
You mean coin?
Yeah.
Yes, a coin.
Not like Bitcoin,
But
though.
a
That's
co-
an actual coin.
but a
You
coin
can
that
touch
looks like a penny.
A bitty coin. It's tiny.
Flattened. Not even a cent.
Wow, look at that
Can't
thing.
use it.
Yeah.
Do you think this is? Do you even want this? Would you want this, or would you not want this?
No,
Is
that
it-
looks nice. I wonder if it's a crime, though. I don't think you can deface money.
How about,
this.
I don't think it's an actual penny, and I don't think it's a crime
The
either.
sticker is still on that thing. I mean,
my God. Did you highlight that?
I did not highlight anything.
Oh.
It is a sweat stain, a yellow sweat stain from the armpit, or just the coloring of the newspaper.
That's a large shirt.
It's a newspaper column that I wrote.
Yeah.
Do you want this?
Did you make that?
I didn't make the
Well,
T-shirt.
it's you.
No.
You did?
It's a T-shirt of you. Your face is on
No.
it.
Yeah,
someone made them
For you?
If we have no
Marlins
takers, I
giveaway.
will take.
Okay, I'll
What
take
a-
it.
Awesome.
Hold on a second.
What a coincidence. that
JuJu,
Dan
it's all
would,
yours.
Wait a minute.
It's all, no, I took it back.
Wait
No, you
a
were too
tick.
slow. JuJu, it's all
Hey,
yours.
You can't take
Can you
away
sign
gifts.
Who wants the penny?
No givesies back.
Does
I'll take
anyone
the penny.
think-
I'll take
me.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cody.
Brad
Hey,
Penny.
Rose wants the penny.
All right.
All right. Where's the shirt with my column on it?
Brad Penny.
Oh,
This
I like it.
This is what he.
Brad Penny. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Penny Hardaway.
6 seconds
like
later,
that.
he
That's right.
registers.
Less is more, Chris. Less is more. The bad joke, he catches it 6 minutes later, and he's like, Brad Penny, oh, it's too bad
good
I
one.
didn't get to that.
Because he was a pitcher for the Marlins, and it was an actual penny.
Get it?
Since the dawn of mankind, we've cooked our food over an open flame and debated the best way to grill. One thing not up for debate, grilling and beer always go together. And not just any beer will do. Whether you barbecue Texas style or celebrate Wednesday with burgers and dogs, you need a beer that tastes great and is less filling, so you have more room for food. You need Miller Lite. As you guys may or may not know, I'm a pretty decent cook, especially behind the barbecue. So when I start the fire from my smoker on a hot day, really, the only thing that I have to worry about is what wood I'm going to use. The easiest decision for me is what I'll be drinking. And that's a nice ice cold can of Miller Lite. Oh, and by the way, here's a pro tip. It really goes well with brisket. Miller Lite keeps it simple, undebatable quality, and tastes as great as your barbecue. A perfect companion for grill masters across America. With the Miller Lite in hand, grilling doesn't just taste great, it tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right at your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
Dan Le Batard.
He called me on my own podcast. He called me full of shit, claiming that I'm faking interest in the solar eclipse.
Well,
and
you do this. You love to just get excited about everything.
Okay, Junior.
Stugotz.
I had to school you and explain to you.
He was going to take you to Augusta. I mean,
When I was 17 years old, Alan Sherry and I used to haunt the Bueller Planetarium.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Getting back to what it is that I was saying at the origin of the conversation,
Yes.
I want to ask you guys what you want from your coverage. Like, I'm legitimately asking this, understanding that there is no consensus. I will remind people that Shitstain and his army made a lot of money off of criticizing ESPN before it was fashionable. Okay, now it's very easy to criticize ESPN. They've been dominant for a really long time, and they're not going to give up that dominance. There have been no real challengers, but now the entire internet is working against the established entity. And my question to you guys is, because it looks like you're about to lose the greatest sports studio show there has ever been. I don't know how and when that's going to get saved in a way that makes it so that we get to keep consuming what Barkley and Shaq and Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith are doing, which is the new form of what's popular. We'll give you 5 or 6 hours with funny people you like to hang out with. The comedians have stolen the radio space, Stugotz. They just do radio shows with each other, and now it's Louis C.K. and Andrew Schultz, and they fill arenas because it's getting that aggressive in the spaces where people compete for your attention.
Right.
And ESPN has had a lead here for a long time, and people are criticizing from every angle now. And I'm asking you guys, what do you want from ESPN? Because they're moving out of journalism. That's been the case for a while. And you saw nothing on Sunday that indicated anything that resembled objectivity. That ABC, Disney, and ESPN conspired to give you something New York-centric that was brazen for ratings. I don't blame them, but what do you want?
I want the games. What happens before the games? What happens after the games? I know people care about that stuff, Dan. I don't. I want the games. ESPN has the games. Therefore, I go to ESPN to watch the games. If Stephen A. Smith wants to make it about Stephen A. Smith before the game, God bless him. If he wants to do it after the game, God bless him. If everyone wants to be a fan and stop being a journalist, great. I arrived there 10 years ago. Welcome to the party, okay? That's what I want. I want the games, and they give me the games.
Okay, but around all the games, there are things that are being complained about that represent our industry. The games are easy, Stugotz.
Right.
Anybody who's got the games gets numbers. That part is easy, and that part you want. But all around it, there are people talking and covering those games. And I will ask you again, you don't want any information, entertainment, nothing. You just want games, games, games. You've checked out on all of the talking around sports.
I mean, I love a good pregame show. I love what, Ernie and Shaq and Charles and Kenny do on TNT. I love College Game Day. I love that stuff because it's entertaining. So go ahead, entertain me. I might watch your pregame show. I might not. Sometimes it's on. Sometimes it's not.
The definition for that is not the same for everybody. Entertainment in sports, it's not the same, and it's changing.
I understand that, but the only thing I'm taking seriously are the actual games. I'm not taking anything seriously on the front end or the back end.
Fandom bleeding into these broadcasts doesn't bother me one bit, but I don't come from journalism. I could see it bothering my dad and Dan more than it bothers me. For me, Stephen A. going crazy with Spike Lee is just more entertaining, so I'm cool with it.
I'm not the one who's complaining about this. I'm waking up to the complaints. They're not mine. They might be artificially generated, but somebody's complaining about coverage.
Why do you think the complaints are bad, though? I mean, I want to complain about this coverage. I want to complain that the announcers and broadcasters hate my team. I want to complain about everything involving the media. And Twitter's just complaints. That's all you're going to find there. About anything.
So what do you want?
I want to complain. That's what I want.
And in your coverage, what do you want?
I just want to watch the game, and then I want to hate the broadcasters because that's part of the fun. That's sports. You see them saying something that you disagree with, and you're like, this person is a such and such, and I don't want to hear them say this about that.
I need to know who's hurt. Who is the ankle lingering? Is someone probable?
Gambling info.
Out? It's Zagak. I don't give a damn. You can cheer for the Knicks all you want to. Right. Salute. Who's hurt, though? Is Miles McBride starting? Because if so, 13.5 seems delicious.
Don't get me started on the WNBA Fantasy and how we don't get proper injury reports on any of those players ever.
Talk about it.
It's insane.
How's that league going?
Oh, I'm dominating.
No, I'm not in that league, by the way. I'm in the Underdogs and Friends League. Salute to the Underdogs, Jordan Brenner and Peter Keating.
We seem to have somehow created 2 WNBA fantasy leagues because the first one was such a disaster. And now there's a faction. Is that right, JuJu?
Yeah, it was the real one the entire time. Rose started her own thing out there in the lobby, and we was like, we're going to have dibs. And Dan has that look in his eyes, so let's get off of this topic
to tie
now.
things back.
I mean, it's a nightmare for me, okay? The
metastasis.
Tough one.
I got you.
Thank you. I have cared so little about Greg Cote's fantasy league for 15 years, and it's all he wants to talk about. And now all of your self-involvements are such that you guys can't shut up about your fantasy leagues. Like Billy, all Billy cares about, it's the only thing I see him care about here at work is the fantasy league with Rose that he's doing. And while you guys are endlessly entertained by your narcissism, I don't think that the audience wants that.
That was a natural progression to the conversation. You said, what do you want to talk about? We want injury reports. Why do we want injury reports? Because of fantasy. And also because of gambling.
And also, too, it is right, brother. Like, if the NFL has a toe injury, they got that information up within seconds. Yeah. These sisters are getting ready in the layup line, and they still got an O by their name. That's egregious. Yeah. Get it together, bro. Show these women the same respect as y'all show the second string tight end for the damn Bills. Yeah.
I think most people, Dan, want to be entertained, and they want to be informed on the things that matter to them. And so, like, College Game Day does a great job where you're getting your information, and then they go to Pete Thamel, and he's telling you who's playing, who's not playing. And so I think that's what people, for the most part, I think that's what people want. Entertain me, give me the information from credible people, information that I care about.
Well, but let's talk about what it is that JuJu's saying there. Does it not stand to reason that if the coverage of women's sports is bad in every way because men are trying to figure out how to cover something they haven't been paying attention to for a long time, and these industries are dominated by male executives, if all of that is so, doesn't it stand to reason that there would be some gambling advantages in having more information about what the game results results that you'd have more room to maneuver in a space where people are more ignorant because you'd have the ability to be more informed than others with inside information because the information that's out there isn't covered. It isn't covered by enough people, enough resources so that it's as comprehensive as the way that your Sundays are.
Right, and to your point, the women's coverage, the broadcast team actually is phenomenal. They got the Shanae and they got Drea. They got a great team as far as no bias, no necessary. They play for teams. Her sister played for the Storm. She ain't biased, and it's a great a product. You feel me? But they need to take that energy and still keep it with the fantasy sports because I'm in leagues with nothing but women. You feel me? And they like, whoa, I thought she was out tonight. That's misleading. I see all my brothers having fun. Let's let your sisters have some fun too.
I really like the pre and post game show on ESPN too for the WNBA because I feel like the team has a lot of chemistry and they're doing like a great combination of information, breaking down plays, breaking down highlights, but also having fun and like joking around with one another. And I think that is something that I've heard a lot of complaints about ESPN's NBA coverage lacking is just that there's not a lot of chemistry on the desk. And they just can't seem to get the formula right in terms of entertainment.
They've been doing it for a long time, and I've told you before, that Adam Silver has never been happy with what counter programs on ESPN as the studio show. He liked what The Jump was doing, but he didn't like the combinations because there's not enough room to move. The TNT guys have so much space.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they enjoy each other's company, which is so rare in television, where it's not a chuckle fest. It's Shaq getting legitimately mad because Barkley's making fun of how Hakeem cooked him 25 years ago. And with the producers, they're then playing highlights of Hakeem shaking Shaq, and he's getting pissed off.
Dream shaking.
Fine.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a fine. $2.
Wow, $12.
No.
It's $2
no,
at least.
I don't. How does it? How did
Hakeem shaking? I mean,
yeah, that's a bad phrase.
You got it wrong. Yeah.
I did get it wrong, but how did it go from $2 to $12?
Inflation, Dano. It's a new country since 2015. Y'all started these fines.
Price of eggs go up, so do fines.
Exactly. A coffee is $12, so we need that 12.
Yeah.
I saw that both Target and McDonald's are now going to stop their price gouging because Americans have had enough. So Target has 5,000 items that are just normal goods that they're going to knock down the price on just because people are totally fed up with how expensive things have gotten.
The crazy thing is Target was like the affordable option. So if Target's doing this is great news.
Not in my hood. Target is up there with Neiman and Marcus.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Target,
Salute to Kroger. I salute all my Kroger individuals out there. I see y'all, and I love y'all.
JuJu, down here, Publix is like the Whole Foods of the rest of the country. It is so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
If Target is lowering their prices, it's not because of altruism. They're doing it because of competition. Nowadays, you can go online and buy a new pair of shoes for $2.99. They won't be good shoes, but
you can have them.
The prices are super cheap now.
Right.
Super cheap.
But if you're Target and you're doing it, you have to say because you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart, right?
I think you're getting confused by Temu ads.
Chris, why are you shaking your head at your father?
I just don't know what he's talking about with shoes being $2 nowadays. Like shoes have never been more expensive in my life.
I bought a fedora for like $2.99.
Really?
I bought a pair of rubber clown ears for like $2.
So you're just buying the first thing Amazon throws you when you're looking for something. Your Amazon shopping is just you're doing it the way the college kids are doing it that are on ramen noodles. You're the first thing that pops up, you're buying it no matter how cheap it is.
Here's the truth of the matter. Target and other retailers, anything you can buy at Target, I can buy cheaper through Amazon.
And crappier.
I'm not saying it'll be better.
No, it won't be better, but you don't care about quality.
Oh, I care about quality.
You are buying things off the internet that are shoes for $2 that you wear for 40 years.
Well, if the shoe fits.
Yeah.
I mean, of course. What's wrong with that? Price gouging. I mean, if I can get it cheap, I will.
But do you care about quality? Because I don't believe that if I present to you, you can either have it cheap or you can either have it be good. You can't have both. You're going to constantly choose cheap.
Okay, I'm not a label hound. Mm-hmm. I don't need a Louis Vuitton purse. Okay.
What kind of purse do you need, big bro?
That's a great question.
You know what? Just a run of the mill. What's a no name purse?
Well, it doesn't have a name, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Give me a purse without a name on it. I don't need initials. I want an anonymous purse.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And it comes cheap. And when it wears out, if there's holes in the soles of my shoes, I buy another pair of shoes for $2.
Greg, I don't want your opinion on this because you're legitimately one of the cheapest people I have ever met.
Well, you always say that, but you don't mean it.
Yeah, you don't mean it.
No.
You don't mean
Chris,
that.
you are his son. You have been his son for a long time. How often are you embarrassed?
His whole life, some say.
He tried to break a $5 bill the other day to tip a valet.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be ashamed of that?
Them's the breaks.
Okay, how much time is that valet spending getting my car?
Probably 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. So if I give him $3, what is that per hour rate? Okay?
You feel good about this argument?
12 times 3, I'm giving him $36 an hour. That's not bad.
To spend 10 minutes in your car.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And who knows what he's pilfering from the glove box.
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. It's just a joke. I trust valets. I do.
You don't.
You never want a valet.
I don't like to valet
He
my car.
tries to avoid valet.
But you trust him.
Was it Ferris Bueller's Day Off? You feel like that's going to happen with your car?
Well, we always take my wife's car because she's terrified to get in my car. So I don't mind that on behalf of her car. I just, I like a parking spot. When I pull up to a golf club, I like to self-park, carry my bag. I don't like to valet. I don't know about the valet industry, but they got the world by the balls. You can't go anywhere now and not valet.
He's right.
I'm surprised I don't have to valet park when I go to Publix. Just let me self-park.
We're getting there with Publix.
Self-parking is dying.
You love to back into a spot, don't you?
No.
Really?
I'm anti-backing in.
I figured you would like to get right out of there.
No, I give a long stare to a driver who holds me up in a parking lot by backing in. The only people who should be backing into a parking spot are people fixing to rob a bank, and they need a quick getaway.
Right.
That I see. Plus, it obscures the license plate. So, the eyewitness makes it tougher.
But imagine if that was the rule. You'd know exactly who the bank
put
robbers
them all
were. Then
on
they'd
the
park
poll,
forward.
please. Does the valet industry have us all by the balls? Do you trust valets? And is the key to a good bank robbery backing into your spot?
It's that time again. The NBA playoffs are here. And boy, wouldn't it be cool to watch an NBA playoff game in person? Heck yeah, it would. And what better way to do so than by getting tickets on Game Time? Game Time's an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off, which is perfect for people like you who don't plan things out. Or you're just really busy and you don't know you're going to have time to go to a game until the day of the game. And if basketball's not your thing, well, guess what? I'm on the Game Time app right now, and what's this? Oh, Megan Thee Stallion is coming to town. I could also see Bad Bunny or Blink-182, Shakira, and more, because Game Time has tickets to all the high-profile events, not just sports. You know some of my favorite features on Game Time? I can go on the app and I can see the view from my seats, because sometimes it looks like they're going to be great, but I have no idea until I get there. But with this feature, I can actually see. Plus, they have the lowest price guaranteed. And as I mentioned, last minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying your tickets last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Plus, Game Time has flash deals, zone deals, all-in pricing. They've got it all, plus the lowest price guarantee. Or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And at Game Time, you always get the Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DAN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Don Le Batard.
He has been great. He's made great hires.
I said all.
We've said all.
He said all that.
We've said all.
Everyone has said everything.
First time I heard any of this, Greg.
Everything you're saying,
it's all been said.
It's all been said.
Okay, you got to understand one thing.
Stugotz.
Me maximum.
That's
Until
right.
I say it, it hasn't been said.
Boom.
Okay, understand that.
You're the mayor.
Until I say it, it hasn't been said.
Me maximum.
Me maximum. Me maximum. Me maximum.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Stugotz, I want to ask you about a person in sports who's going to engender very little sympathy, very little compassion. The last few years of this person's public life have seemed to be a real disintegration. Antonio Brown went from the best receiver in football to somebody who took a hit in a game that years from now, when we go through science, we're going to be able to pinpoint, oh, that's what exacerbated CTE.
Right.
His public meltdown has been something that seems like it could be tied to football fairly easily and fairly overtly, to not excuse any of what it is that he's done. But we're going to know more about it in years. And today he declared for bankruptcy, or yesterday he declared for bankruptcy. And it actually hurt me on his behalf because of what life's going to be now when you've grown used to having all of the money and power in the world. And now you enter a phase of your life where you're not going to be able to recoup that anywhere. And your reputation is in tatters. And you don't seem mentally stable in any way. And I don't think there's going to be very much compassion for Antonio Brown. But having known that his story began in Miami, homeless, and this is not a place to not have a home. His journey to the top of sports was fairly amazing to watch because it didn't come through the big schools and it didn't come with a lot of support. So he got to adulthood and fame and money at a time he couldn't handle it. And I don't want to make him a victim here because the stuff that he's done is really bad. It's not just publicly embarrassing, it's stuff that has hurt people. And yet I found myself feeling bad for him when I saw the declaration of bankruptcy because I'm like, he's not going to be able to get his finances in order the rest of his life in a way that allow him to fix the fact that all of it's been thrown away.
He made $88 million during his career. And he's filing for bankruptcy. I do feel bad for Antonio Brown because it's the unknown that you feel bad about. It's what did football do to Antonio Brown? How did it impact his life, his career, all the crazy things he's done over the last few years? You do wonder, I'm not excusing it, but you're left to wonder how football impacts that.
It's a long list of things. Perhaps you could get us that list of things because I don't want to skate past what has been some very bad behavior that's going to make most of the people listening to this. I don't think it's the minority. I think it's going to be most of them. Don't care. Threw it all away. Moron. Another guy who had all of the things I dream about having and couldn't figure out a way to handle it. I'm guessing that he engenders very little in the way of compassion.
If I had the opportunity to play in the NFL, I do this all the time. I'm guilty of it as well, but this is what fans do. And I made $88 million. I would never squander that opportunity. But you don't know because you don't know what football does to your body and your brain.
Yeah, I feel bad for Antonio Brown as well. But when you mentioned $88 million in career earnings, that is the reason why he'll get no sympathy from most people. I worry about his mental health. I worry about what he might be driven to do next. But I also think in this day and age that the fact that he's controversial, the fact that he's had all of these episodes, there's a lot of podcasts out there who are going to say, Antonio,
I don't think he's
you want to come
employable,
on?
Greg. Do you want to come on is one thing. Pay you to come on? Make it profitable? No. Exploit you? Sure. he doesn't have a career in front of him. He does not have a media career being controversial. He's tried the music career. He's been on, he's done some work with It Is What It Is, right? Like that Cameron and Mace have had him on fairly regularly.
He could have had a media career. He decided not to. Probably.
That day's over, though.
That day's over
whatever
for him,
that,
I think, yes.
And so I ask the audience this question because there are so many people in his rearview mirror who are actual victims. So I understand why anything that sounds like we're espousing victimhood for him might land wrong, because people don't want to see the humanity in that sport when it gets damaged that way and have to reconcile with what it is that we're doing on Sundays, where Vontaze Burfict took pride in doing that.
Yeah,
that's something at the time. Vontaze Burfict.
In his defense, a lot of guys do, Dan.
But yes, right. Agreed. But more than most, Burfict was saying, I hate the Steelers, and that's what I was trying to do. I was not following the rules, don't care about your safety. Vontaze Burfict has publicly said, that is something I was trying to administer. It's something I'm proud to have administered. And within the context of that environment, I ask you, what does football do to these people?
I think why it's hard to feel for my dog is because it's on top of the heinous crimes he was accused of and the child support and all the stuff that he's been locked up for, throwing rocks and all the stuff. His regular internet personality right now is still attacking everybody. So-and-so bleep of the day. You know what I mean? It's like he's still antagonizing Tom Brady, posting pictures of Giselle. At a certain point, you wear out your welcome with us. Like you can do your thing, but when it comes to sympathy, I'm pretty sure ain't nobody got no sympathy for me if I do all that.
All right, well,
it's hard to have it.
Let me ask you guys this question then. Just out of curiosity, since DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love brought it to everybody, they brought it to a predominantly male audience and brought a conversation that men don't talk about to a male audience. When we talk about Ray Rice or Diddy and we say, well, what do you think domestic abuse looked like? You've been reading about it for years. What do you think mental illness looks like? Like, what are the things I have to put in front of you for you to say, oh, Antonio Brown, there's a lot of stuff there. I don't want to say that everyone who is mentally ill is this kind of mentally ill, but what do I have to put in front of you for you guys? Like, I'll give you my personal example. I didn't know when I was in it. It was 20 years ago. Ricky Williams retires. He's living in a tent in Australia. I didn't know. I didn't understand that what was happening there was, okay, that must be something happened there that I don't have knowledge and information about, even though I'm really close to it. I had it happen with my brother, Stugotz.
Right.
My brother.
Yeah.
Toward the end of his life, my brother, who I love and I know, we were dealing with spiraling stuff that I didn't recognize. And it's in my brother's body. And so I'm ill-equipped. I'm like, well, what is this? I love this person. I don't recognize this person. What is this? Where does the sickness start and the asshole begins? Like, because my brother had some arrogant streaks, so and I don't recognize it. So I ask you guys innocently, don't make it Antonio Brown. Give me an example from now in sports. What do you think it looks like when people are talking about the despair at the bottom of the well? Because if I had to nominate somebody from sports right now on exhibiting the behavior that seems out of control and extreme and not just athlete stereotype immaturity or athlete stereotype recklessness, that there might be something else in play, I just ask you again and again, what do you think it looks like?
I think it looks like Antonio Brown. I don't think you go from $88 million to bankruptcy unless your life is full of terrible decision-making. And I don't know whether it's CTE or not. You don't associate CTE typically with the wide receiver position, but it well could be. But some sort of a mental illness has to be involved here. It just has to be.
Jason Kelsey says he can virtually guarantee us he has CTE. He's going into his next phase of his career saying he can virtually guarantee that he himself has CTE.
But I think the NFL, the collisions, they impact everyone differently. So you're right about Jason Kelsey. He has said that. But Billy and I spend I don't know, 20, 30 minutes every week with Mike Golick on God Bless Football, and he said that football did not impact his health, mental or physical. Yes, he has a limp. Yes, there are things, but Mike Golick looks great and feels great. And so I think everyone's kind of different in terms of how football impacts them.
I think it comes to genetics. Like last summer, we looked at a brother from the Charlotte Hornets, Kai Jones. His streak of activity seemed as though something was wrong, but then he got the proper help, and he accredits the NBA PA for giving him the help he needs. So I think when it comes to mental health, it's the genetics, and it's so many different chemicals that go to who you are and your biology that it's kind of tough to detect in some people.
I should say off the top end here, because I really don't want to turn this into Antonio Brown as victim. The domestic assault allegations and the sexual assault allegations against him are serious ones. I'm talking about now he goes bankrupt, and the life, you have seen whatever it was that was gained financially from football. The report, the news is that has now been squandered. And I'm saying once all of that arrives, his life as he knew it is now over, and the consequences that are coming for all of those actions are about to bury him. He will never get to live the life that he used to live. That has been squandered.
Do we know that, though? Because, like, Mike Tyson declared bankruptcy.
That's
50
what I'm about to say.
Cent
50
declared
Cent. That's what I'm
bankruptcy.
saying.
Burt Reynolds declared bankruptcy. Like Donald Trump declared bankruptcy. There's plenty of celebrities who have declared bankruptcy,
Right,
and
just to get the
seemingly
folks out their
haven't
ass.
changed their lifestyle in any way whatsoever.
Right, it's a new season of power coming up. You would never walk up to 50 Cent right now and say you can't do what you used to do. You wouldn't call that man broke. 50 claimed bankruptcy like years and years ago. So I feel like this may be just something that is necessary for whatever financial shit he's trying to stay out of.
I agree that I don't think bankruptcy ends one's hope and future. And I'm sort of surprised to hear you say that in the content age that Antonio Brown cannot be redeemed.
He's
he
not
cannot
employable.
be rehabilitated.
He's not employed. The crimes are too serious. The allegations are too serious.
It seems that way to. I understand, but you say he tried rap. No. He didn't try rap. He started a phenomenon that went around the world. Put that shit on is being said by random people now. It's like, it seems bleak to the, I don't, no disrespect to your generation, but to us, this seems regular, bro. He probably owes somebody some money. I ain't got it. I'm bankrupt, and still living the same life he been living. I don't see what you see.
You guys think he's going to be fine financially by just hiding behind
They think he is fine.
The legal veneer. You guys evidently didn't see MTV Cribs and don't know what local real estate costs are on taxes. He will not be able to keep living the same lifestyle with the bubble of protection that bankruptcy affords him.
It's not that. It's not a death sentence, which is what you're kind of making it out to be.
No, it's not a death sentence. He's not going to die.
Well, he will.
But the identity he used to have, that's gone, and it's gone forever.
He killed that himself, though.
Yep.
Since the dawn of mankind, we've cooked our food over an open flame and debated the best way to grill. One thing not up for debate, grilling and beer always go together. And not just any beer will do. Whether you barbecue Texas style or celebrate Wednesday with burgers and dogs, you need a beer that tastes great and is less filling, so you have more room for food. You need Miller Lite. As you guys may or may not know, I'm a pretty decent cook, especially behind the barbecue. So when I start the fire from my smoker on a hot day, really, the only thing that I have to worry about is what wood I'm going to use. The easiest decision for me is what I'll be drinking. And that's a nice ice cold can of Miller Lite. Oh, and by the way, here's a pro tip. It really goes well with brisket. Miller Lite keeps it simple, undebatable quality, and tastes as great as your barbecue. A perfect companion for grill masters across America. With the Miller Lite in hand, grilling doesn't just taste great, it tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right at your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.